Welcome to the next revision video for WJEC Vocational ICT. This one's going to focus in on utility software. So the last video we looked at functionality of different software and we focused in on system software. We talked about how utility software is a type of system software, but there's very clear roles for both of them, system software and utility software. So we're going to focus in on utility software today. So utility software is a type of system software that helps maintain, manage and protect your computer. It's there to perform specific tasks, so it's going to keep your computer running smoothly, your system running nice and smooth. It's going to fix ongoing problems that might arise through the use of your computer, improve the performance of your computer and keep your data that's on your computer safe, on your system safe. Examples can include antivirus software, things like Windows Defender that you might have come across, that you might have used on your Windows machines, compression tools like WinZip, disk cleanup tools that come preloaded and pre-packaged with operating systems, and backup software, amongst many others. Now we're going to look at a few that you need to be aware of for your exam. So antivirus software and anti-malware software. So the purpose of this type of software is it's there to detect and remove viruses, spyware and other malicious software, other malicious code on your computer. It protects your system from online threats and keeps your data safe. How it works, it has a library of malicious code that it's aware of. It will download updates, ongoing updates, as long as most of this software will update itself. However, a common error by end users is not keeping the antivirus software up to date. And if you don't, your computer's not going to know, your antivirus software is not going to know of new versions of viruses, new versions of malicious code, and it's not going to be able to detect them on your machine. So it scans files and folders on your machine, emails, and downloads, things that you download from the internet for harmful code, for code that it's aware of as being malicious. It automatically quarantines these in a folder so they can't manipulate your system, or it will delete them if it can, any infected files. Real world examples, I've already mentioned Windows Defender, which is built into Microsoft Windows, an operating system which constantly monitors threats on your computer. Others include Norton, McAfee, Avast, and there's lots and lots of others used by businesses, individuals, schools, all sorts of different people to stop and keep their systems safe. Like I said, keeping your antivirus library up to date is the most important thing, and along with that, making sure you run regular scans. A lot of people will have antivirus software on the computer but never actually run it. Most antivirus software now has real-time protection, so it will scan in real time, and if it notices any code that's doing things that it shouldn't be doing, it will quarantine them and delete them. So why is it useful? It stops hackers and bad actors from stealing data, stops slow performance caused by malicious software, and it keeps systems safe for everyday use. Next piece of utility software is compression software. So the purpose of compression software is it reduces the file size so it's easier to store and send to different people or send to different places. How it works, it uses an algorithm to group data more efficiently without using any information. So a common example is WinZip. A lot of people will have heard of WinZip, 7-Zip, WinRAR, used to compress files so they can be stored, uploaded to a website or emailed. Businesses are going to use this type of software to back up large data sets more quickly. Compression software is there. Your hard drive's only got a fixed amount of capacity. So if you're working with big files, big text files, big image files, video files and things like that, big data sets, businesses will compress them so they're taking up less space. Saves storage space and reduces upload and download times. So if you need to email that file to a client or to a friend or to a colleague, and it's a bit too big, you can use compression software to make that file a little bit smaller and hopefully send it on its way. Encryption software is our next one. Purpose of encryption software: protects data by converting it into unreadable code unless you have a password or key. So how it works, it uses mathematical algorithms to lock the data. So real world examples of this: a BitLocker, which comes with Windows, which encrypts an entire hard drive. So without the pass key, when you first log in, your hard drive content is unreadable. It's not going to load Windows. It's not going to load the software that you need to use the computer. VRecrypt, which is a free encryption software used by professionals to secure confidential files. So if you've got files that you need to keep private, maybe as you're working in, you've got a finance department and you need to encrypt personal data, you can use a software like VRecrypt to encrypt it, and without the key, it's nigh on impossible to get that data back. WhatsApp encryption: most people use WhatsApp now for communication. Messages are encrypted end to end, so if anybody picks up that data in between the transmission, they just see a load of random code that doesn't make sense without that password or key. So it's used to ensure that any data that is stolen can't be easily accessed and read. So it keeps data safe if a laptop or USB stick or something like that is stolen. Next one is defragmentation software. So purpose of defragmentation software: it speeds up the computer by reorganizing your files on your hard drive. Now this piece of software is only really used on magnetic storage. So if you think back to the storage video, we talked about the 3 types of storage: the magnetic storage, optical and solid state. You wouldn't use defragmentation software on a solid state hard drive because they only have an X amount of read and write cycles. So it's going to reduce it's not needed anyway, because data on an SSD can be accessed immediately regardless of where it's stored. But because of the limited read and write cycles, it's going to reduce the lifespan of your SSD hard drive. When it comes to magnetic hard drives, though, your files over time will be scattered around the magnetic platter. So as you use your computer over time and you're deleting files, you're moving files, you are creating new files, you're installing software, you're uninstalling software, that data is wrote to the magnetic platters inside of your hard drive. And over time, files get fragmented around. So defragmentation software goes through your hard drive and pieces them files closer together and groups up the free space closer together. Basically meaning that the read and write head doesn't have as far to travel to find these files, so it improves your efficiency of opening files, so it'll make your computer run smoother and things like that. So Windows defragmentation and optimise drives tool, which is built into Windows, it often runs automatically now. You used to have to run it in the past manually. It's used by IT technicians to improve system performance on older PCs. So if you find that your computer's lagging, it's running a bit slow, there's a couple of reasons for that. It could be that the magnetic hard drive needs to be defragmented. It could also be that you've got some sort of malware on there as well that's slowing your computer down. So why is it useful? It improves loading speed and overall performance of the computer, but you wouldn't use it on an SSD hard drive, like I said. Next one, disk cleanup tools. Again, this is something that you would use, and the majority of the time your operating system will do this on its own. But your computer, as you were using it over time, will download lots of things and keep files in temporary locations. So the purpose of a disk cleanup tool is to free up space by deleting these temporary files and system junk, they call it. So how it works, it scans for unnecessary files like caches from websites, logs that have been created in your computer based on installing software, uninstalling software, errors that might have happened, and old downloads. There's all sorts of different things that's on your files that are saved to your computer that you are unaware of, that have been used in the past because of different actions that you've carried out on your computer, but are no longer really needed. So real world examples: Windows Disk Cleanup, or there's a very popular free piece of software online called CCleaner, used by home and office users to free up that extra space. So why is it useful? It improves performance and prevents storage from filling up. So as an example, a real world example is when you uninstall software, a lot of the time the uninstall tool doesn't remove every piece of data or every file that's associated with that program. So these types of tools will make sure everything's cleaned up, which again frees up the space on your hard drive. Next one is, and I think this is the last one, is backup tools. So purpose of backup tools, very straightforward. It creates copies of important data so it can be restored if it's lost. There's different types of backup. You can have incremental backups. So if you change a file during the day, an incremental backup will take a copy of files that have changed since the last backup. Or you can have full backups. Now, full backups obviously will take a lot longer because it's backing up every file on the computer, whereas incremental will only be creating backups of files and folders that have changed since the last backup. So it creates copies of important data so it can be restored if it's lost. How it works, automatically backs up files to another drive or to the cloud. Real world examples, so cloud storage, Google Drive, OneDrive that you use in school, iCloud, stores backups online. Other types of software, there's lots and lots of third-party software used by companies for system backups. So it protects against data loss from hardware failure, deletion or cyber attacks. Cyber attacks more commonly now, so things like ransomware. So there's been lots of stories in the news about ransomware whereby the NHS have been attacked in years gone by. Now them systems without backups would not be able to restore them systems. So a lot of companies now are taking this much more seriously. So backups, extremely important, backup software. So to recap that, your utility software is going to keep your computer secure. So things like antivirus software, anti-malware software, encryption software. So anti-malware software, scanning your files and folders to make sure there's no malicious software there that's going to slow your computer down, steal data, spy on you, all them types of things. Encryption software used to keep your data safe, so you can encrypt it with a key so that if anybody steals that data or intercepts it over while it's being transmitted, will not be able to see it, won't be able to understand it without that password or key. It keeps utility software, keeps your systems fast and efficient. So through defragmentation for magnetic hard drives, grouping them files together, grouping your free space together so that the drive can more quickly access them files. Disk cleanup software that's going to get rid of them unnecessary temporary files, them logs that you no longer need on your computer, freeing up space. Compression software used to compress files and large data sets, images, text files, things that you maybe don't need on a regular basis, but you do need them. So a lot of companies use it to preserve and store large data sets that they might need. So again, that might be used in conjunction with backup software. Keeps your data safe and backed up. So backup tools like we've just done, backup software that's going to take a full backup of all of your files or all of your folders that you need that are business sensitive, maybe it's critical to you as a student, critical to you as a home user, or incremental backups, so it's running more regularly and only backing up the files that you've modified or changed since the last backup. And then finally, encryption data again is mentioned in the keeping it secure, but it also keeps your data safe. So it's going to encrypt your files, encrypt your folders so that your computer is kept safe and secure from bad actors. And that's it for that video. Thank you.